Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3462 is to be sealed in a standard containment locker in Site-15. Any testing with SCP-3462 is to be done while no Foundation employees are within the testing room, with a minimum of 2 guards stationed outside of the chamber while testing is in progress. Testing is to be done on an LCD television connected to a standard VHS player. Test subjects are to then be put into a standard containment cell furnished with various mechanical devices and are to be monitored for a period of 48 hours. If testing subjects survive 48 hours after exposure, they are to be mentally evaluated and returned to their living quarters. Any personnel who show signs of being under the effects of SCP-3462 are to be restrained inside of a standard containment cell for 48 hours or until SCP-3462's anomalous effects no longer persist. Description: SCP-3462 is a slightly worn VHS copy of the Brave Little Toaster distributed by Walt Disney Pictures. SCP-3462's anomalous effects only appear when its contents are viewed on a functioning television. When SCP-3462 is viewed on a television, the subject viewing SCP-3462 begins to believe that mechanical devices, primarily ones used in food preparation, are sentient. The subject will then begin to interact with these devices, conversing with them as if they were humans, though nothing is heard from the devices. After a period of 36 hours from the initial exposure to SCP-3462, subjects will attempt to imitate the usage of the closest mechanical device with their own bodies. Subjects show preference imitating the mechanical device that they had interacted with the most after viewing SCP-3462. This leads to death in approximately 96% of subjects. After a period of 48 hours from the initial exposure, the subject will stop experiencing the effects of SCP-3462 rapidly over a period of 2 hours. Subjects will show no recollection of the past 48 hours, their memories becoming less detailed from after the subjects stopped viewing SCP-3462. Test Log 3462-1. Researcher, Dr. Dribble. Subject, D-01457. Procedure: subject was made to watch SCP-3462 in its entirety. Then the subject was put into a standard containment cell, furnished with multiple culinary appliances and monitored for 48 hours. Results: 13 hours after exposure to SCP-3462, subject began attempting to brag to a blender in the containment cell, boasting about his accomplishments. Over a period of 23 hours, subject began arguing with a blender, seemingly disputing whether the blender had accomplished more than the subject. The subject then screamed, "I will show you, you redacted worthless piece of redacted." Subject then immediately ripped the rotating blade out of the blender and proceeded to violently jam it down his throat, causing severe internal bleeding and lacerations inside of the throat. Subject then began to attempt to shove miscellaneous objects down his throat while attempting to make whirring noises. Subject died 30 minutes later from blood loss due to severe internal injuries. Test Log 3462-2. Researcher, Dr. Dribble. Subject, D-00428, D-10937. Procedure: subject was made to watch SCP-3462 in its entirety while the volume on the television was muted. A separate subject was then made to listen to the audio of SCP-3462 while blindfolded. Then both subjects were put into separate containment cells, furnished with multiple culinary appliances and monitored for 48 hours. Results: after 48 hours, neither subject showed signs of being affected by SCP-3462. Note: it seems that both the visual and auditory component are required for SCP-3462's effect to take place. Dr. Dribble. Test Log 3462-3. Researcher, Dr. Dribble. Subject, D-06076. Procedure: subject was made to watch the first 4 minutes of SCP-3462. Subject was then put into a standard containment cell, furnished with multiple culinary appliances and monitored for 48 hours. Results: 26 hours after exposure to SCP-3462, subject began talking seductively to an oven contained within her cell. She continued to talk like this for an additional 12 hours until she kissed the oven and said, "I won't let us be apart any longer." She then continued to kiss the door of the oven while puffing out her cheeks as her skin began to turn a dark red. This continued for an additional 37 seconds until the subject collapsed. Autopsies show that all of the subject's organs had suffered severe burns, including most of her skin. It is unknown how her body generated this amount of heat. In light of these events, cross-testing between SCP-3462 and SCP-3049 has been strictly forbidden by the 05 Council. Test Log 3462 4. Researcher, Dr. Dreville. Subject, D10298. Procedure: subject was made to watch the credits of SCP-3462, which are 3 minutes and 47 seconds long. Then the subject was put into a standard containment cell, furnished with multiple culinary appliances and monitored for 48 hours. Results: 15 hours after exposure to SCP-3462, the subject began speaking with a refrigerator in his containment cell, seemingly about obtaining a job. Subject answered standard interview questions, as well as odd requests such as the subject's average internal body heat and the holding capacity of the subject's intestines. After a period of 37 hours from the initial exposure, subject acted as if he was shaking a hand of the refrigerator, seemingly accepting the job offer. Subject then tore a metal shard from the bottom of a nearby oven and proceeded to slice open his lower abdomen while inserting various items into his body before passing out due to blood loss. Subject died approximately 45 seconds after the event due to severe internal bleeding. Note: while a subject may require both audio and visual input to experience the effects of SCP-3462, it does not seem to be affected by the amount of time the subject has experienced these inputs. Dr. Dreville. Test Log 3462 5. Researcher, Dr. Dreville. Subject, D10957. Procedure, D10957 was chosen for this experiment after remarking that it was his favorite movie. Subject was made to watch SCP-3462 in its entirety. Then the subject was put into a standard containment cell, furnished with multiple culinary appliances and monitored for 48 hours. Results: 17 hours after exposure to SCP-3462, subject seemed to hold his breath in excitement as he looked at a toaster in the containment cell. Subject then began to run over to the toaster, mimicking shaking a hand while saying praises of the toaster's acting career. After an additional 4 hours, subject got onto his knees while chanting, "He gives us sustenance, he takes it away." 48 hours after initial exposure to SCP-3462, subject was still in the kneeling position and had not shown any signs of self-harm yet. Subject was kept in the cell for an additional 12 hours before being tranquilized and brought out of the cell. In a subsequent interview, the subject stated that he could not recall many details of his experience but said, "When I was a kid, I always wanted to meet the brave little toaster. He was like an idol to me. Turns out he is also a pretty stuck-up little redacted."